New Ivorian political coalition, Alassane Ouattara is its father. Here's how. March 10, 2025, will officially mark the birth of a new opposition coalition in Côte d'Ivoire. A deceptive union, born of manipulation and duplicity, secretly funded by none other than the very man it is supposedly fighting against, Alassane Ouattara, alias the Old Trickster. The evidence is damning, irrefutable. An intelligence report reveals that a vice president of Côte, a trained jurist, received 10 million CFA francs twice from the hands of Massiré Touré, totaling 20 million CFA francs. A windfall from heaven? No. A carefully orchestrated ploy by those in power to turn this coalition into a political puppet serving Ouattara's interests. As the 2025 presidential election approaches, the political scene is heating up, exposing the underhanded maneuvers at play. One of the most scrutinized figures, due to his legendary cunning, is undoubtedly Charles Blé Goody, the former leader of the Young Patriots under Laurent Gbagbo. His return to politics after years of exile and legal troubles raises many questions. Is he genuinely playing the opposition's card, or is he secretly laying the groundwork for an alliance with Alassane Ouattara? That's why I'm never going to get involved with someone who takes up arms. That's why I'm never going to get involved with someone who takes up arms. That's why I'm never going to get into an alliance with someone whose goal is to take up guns. I said, those who remove my name from the electoral list, I don't have any weapons, I'm against guns, but the election that's coming up, Charles Blé Goody, I'm going to go out behind the back. It's me that you're looking at, but we're everywhere. We're everywhere. Blé Goody has always claimed to be firmly anchored in the opposition, positioning himself as a generational alternative to the Gbagbo-Ouattara rivalry that has polarized the country for decades. Yet his recent request for presidential amnesty from Alassane Ouattara, seeking to erase his 20-year prison sentence so he can run in 2025, has cast doubt on his true motives. My dear compatriots, we all aspire to live in a democratic society that guarantees our freedoms and rights. On this subject, at Côte, our choice is clear. We are for a democratic change whose only voice is that of the ballot box. In light of our recent history, which has been particularly painful and traumatic, I call on the government of Côte d'Ivoire to organize a citizen dialogue with the political class and civil society. Such an approach will certainly prevent us from making the mistakes of the past. My greatest wish is that at the end of the 2025 elections, unlike in 2010, 2015, and 2020, the loser calls the winner to congratulate him. To achieve this, the 2025 election must be transparent, democratic, and inclusive, to ensure peace. Our country has suffered too much from the consequences of exclusion, and we all know it. This is why I call on the President of the Republic of Côte d'Ivoire to take steps to wipe clean the bitter slate of previous political crises. An amnesty law could be initiated by the majority in the National Assembly. Our recent history recommends it, our peace of mind demands it. At this level, 4 of us were the subject of an arrest warrant from the ICC. President Laurent Gbagbo, former First Lady Simone Iheve Gbagbo, General Bruno Dogbo Blay, and myself, Charles Blé Goody. President Laurent Gbagbo was pardoned and his accounts were unfrozen. His political party received a receipt to operate. General Blé Dogbo was pardoned. Former First Lady Simone Iheve Gbagbo was amnestied and her accounts unfrozen. Her political party received its receipt. I did not. To this day, I question this particular treatment. That is why I demand that this injustice be corrected. I want to enjoy my rights, because I want to participate in the competition to one day predestine the future of Côte d'Ivoire. Why plead for mercy from the very man he once fought against, instead of battling for rehabilitation through legal and democratic means? His numerous off-the-cuff statements, often tinged with an unsettling complacency toward Ouattara, are also worth noting. Listening to him, one might think he's getting ready to tuck Ouattara into bed and massage his ego before he falls asleep. Not long ago, he even declared that anyone who revolted against Alassane Ouattara would have to deal with him first. It's not my leader who is in power. But if someone raises a gun against the power that is there, they will find me in their path too. Because it's not power that I see. It's my country that I see. When a gun is fired, there is no RHDP, there is no PPA-CI, there is no COGIP, there is no MGC. So, this loyal nephew is openly stating that he would stand against the Ivorian people if they were to rise up against the prevailing dictatorship. If he isn't yet a full-fledged sycophant of the butcher of the lagoons, he certainly has the rhetorical arsenal to sing his praises. This amnesty request, almost made on bended knee, is seen by some as an act of submission to the regime, a step toward a deal that would ultimately benefit Alassane Ouattara. Because if Blé Goody is granted amnesty, what will he owe in return? That is the essential question. For months now, speculation has been rife about a possible rapprochement between Blé Goody and the RHDP. Some political observers suggest that in exchange for his rehabilitation, he could play the role of a divider within the opposition, helping to scatter the forces opposing Ouattara. This is a well-oiled strategy from those in power, weaken the opposition from within by sowing internal discord. With President Gbagbo still barred from running, President Soro forced into exile, and the opposition struggling for unity, Blé Goody could very well become the disruptive element that fractures the anti-Ouattara front. One thing is certain. COGIP has received this money. The real question is whether the other parties in this coalition are complicit or if they have been infiltrated without their knowledge. Two scenarios arise. 1. If these parties are unaware, then the coalition is already compromised from within, under government control, and thus doomed to fail. 2. If these parties are aware, then this is nothing less than outright betrayal of the Ivorian people, yet another masquerade aimed at legitimizing a fake opposition to ensure Alassane Ouattara remains in power. Indeed, in their quest for government positions after the elections, these corrupt politicians might be tempted to sabotage this coalition to pave a golden path for the tyrant Ouattara. But another hypothesis deserves consideration: could Blé Goody have deceived Ouattara? Could he have led him to believe that he controls this coalition and can sway it in his favor? Could he have promised his benefactor that he would lull these opposition figures into complacency and align them with a presidential agenda? Young people of Côte d'Ivoire, the one who supports you holds you. He will control you for life. The hand that gives is the hand that commands. The hand that gives is the hand that commands. If you hold out your hand to always receive gifts, your same hand must prepare your brain to receive orders. One thing is for sure. Within the RHDP ranks, there is cause for celebration. They rejoice in having financed and set up a domesticated opposition, a hollow showcase whose sole mission is to divide the real opposition and neutralize any push for change. RHDP's communication strategists barely stop short of calling Blé Goody an ally. He is even held up as a model opponent. But when a ruling power praises an opponent as a good opponent, it simply means he is nothing more than a court jester. Didn't Cissé Bakongo himself once say that Blé Goody was with them, both literally and figuratively? Blé Goody is with us every day. I mean every day. Literally and literally. I mean every day. Perhaps it might surprise you that I say every day. No, we see each other, we talk. The minister knows this. He has his COGIP. He hasn't received his receipt yet, but he certainly will. Let's be clear. This coalition was born out of deception. It is not built on a shared vision or a sincere desire for change but on a financial transaction and a large-scale political manipulation. In other words, it was dead on arrival. Ivorians are no longer the useful idiots of corrupt politicians' personal ambitions. They see through this charade, where the opposition no longer opposes but rather negotiates its silence and submission for a few stacks of banknotes. The verdict is unequivocal. This coalition is a farce orchestrated by Ouattara and his operatives within the opposition. A grotesque stage plays where the roles were assigned in advance. But let it be known. The Ivorian people will not be fooled. The veneer of this deception will soon crack, exposing the betrayal of those who claim to defend the people. Ivorian political history has taught us that betrayals and sudden shifts in allegiance are nothing new. Charles Blé Goody, once perceived as a staunch adversary of the regime, now wears the costume of a double agent, negotiating his personal future at the expense of a united opposition against the despot Ouattara. He has chosen the path of political bargaining. He has already sold out. The 2025 election will be decisive for the future of Côte d'Ivoire. Charles Blé Goody wants to play a key role. But for whom, and at what cost? The cost of betrayal, deception, and trickery. He has become nothing more than a censer-bearer, offering incense at the altar of Alassane Ouattara, all for his own survival. Of course, some will say that Chris Yapi is lying. I can only pity these potential fools if they truly are that naive.
On a la fin du processus. C'est tellement choqué, il y a le lunette. Il y a le lunette. Bien servi maintenant. Oh, c'est. Ah non. On pète fort comme ça. On pète fort comme ça. La cuisine va s'appeler le 32. Non, le restaurant va s'appeler le 32. Le 32, c'était le numéro de la prison où on était. Voilà. Non, c'est trop chic. Voilà, je mets un peu de jus. Il faut savoir tout faire, c'est important. Voilà. Le gros morceau là. Voilà. Oh, cette histoire-là. Ça va finir au commissariat, cette histoire. Comme le dit mon oncle. Dis ça, ça va finir au commissariat, cette histoire. Tu vas prendre le plus gros morceau. Ça va finir au commissariat, cette histoire-là. On fait fort dans ce coup comme ça. Ah. Il dit, pour être président, il faut une condition encore. Ça va faire la cuisine. C'est important. Après un peu de sport encore. C'est important. Voilà. Merci. On va aller à côté. Voilà. On va voir. Voilà. Un BT qui fait, puis il n'y a pas coupe, c'est pas bon. Il faut tenir devant moi. Ah, il a dit cette histoire-là. Ça a fini au commissariat. Un BP qui prépare, puis il n'y a pas coup de riz. C'est que le riz n'est pas bon. Vous allez voir. Batata! Oh! C'est qui ça? Gaffé, oh, Gaffé! Voilà. Oh, j'ai fini avec ça. Viens me dire que ça va préparer. Explique-moi ça. Je vois qu'à Gaffé. L'homme n'a pas la paix.
Chris Yapi does not lie. Find Chris Yapi on his 2 YouTube channels, his Rumble channel, his TikTok, X, Instagram, VK and Threads accounts.